You asked for it. We're doing it. It's Zombicide Green Horde by CMON and Guillotine Games. The game is designed by Jean-Baptiste Lulien, Nicolas Raoult, and Raphael Guiton. Julie, tell us more about the game itself.
So it's a cooperative game. It's a 1 to 6 player game for ages 14 and above. It's supposed to be able to be played in about an hour.
Yep, it does definitely play in about an hour. I think that's what we found playing the game. Now, this game is similar to Zombicide Black Plague, and this is the game that is going to be kicking off our Zombicide coverage. You can expect to see us covering Black Plague a little bit less in depth in an upcoming video. And this is a zombie game, and guess what? She played it, even though she hates zombies. So if you guys are interested in finding out what Julie had to say about it, what are they going to have to do, Julie?
Well, they're going to have to watch us play, or if they really want to skip it, they can go straight to the review with the timestamps at the bottom. But we hope you stick around to see how to play and catch our review at the end.
So, as always here on Dice and Dragons, grab your drink.
He beat you to it.
You beat me to it. You grab the best friend first. You know she's got her priorities straight. I mean, it is a zombie apocalypse. Clearly, she will save me. And now, will I leave her or save her? Well, you might have to watch our playthrough to find out.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You totally push me in front of a zombie and run for it.
I don't think I'd push you in front of a zombie and run for it.
You'd just take off and leave me behind.
I don't know. It depends. I mean, if they bit you, probably. But I still try to keep you from being bitten. I'm not so sure what I'd do after.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
Keep it right here, guys. Now we're going to take a closer look at the components that come with Zombicide Green Horde. Now I am going to just give you some brief rules explanation, just a quick overview for the components. For those of you that aren't going to watch the full playthrough video of the tutorial, we do go over the rules in a lot more detail there. But we will also take a closer look at spawning and the player board, so that you will be able to take a look at that without watching the entire video. Now let's start with the easy stuff. We have the rulebook, the Zombicide rulebook, and at the back you do have a very nice summary of the zombies as well as the phases of the game. Now the game has the player's phase, zombies phase, and the end phase. Now that is the rulebook. Don't forget the quests are also in the back of the rulebook. Now we do have the game tiles here. And as you can see, there are quite a few of them. You will notice that the game tiles are numbered and lettered at the bottom. You have 20V as well as 20R on the same game tile. Now let's take a look at the orcs. I've divided the orc miniatures up into the different groups because there are 5 different types of orcs in the game. You have the orc runners, the walkers, the abominations, the fatties, and the necromancer. Now, the orc runners can be some of the deadliest as they get 2 actions on their turn. All of the others do get 1 action. The abominations are the most difficult to kill, requiring 3 damage, and that's a weapon that does 3 damage, or a character that's able to do 3 damage. The orc fatties require 2 damage, and the necromancer is the pain in the butt that summons more zombies. Be careful for that guy. As you can see, we're here. We have the 6 heroes that come in the box. We have also their 6 miniatures. And you notice that each hero has a different set of skills and a special item that they can equip in their body slot. We'll talk about that as we review the player boards. And you'll notice next to the player boards, which are right there, we have some colored pegs and the colored circle that goes under, well, not the colored circle, the colored player base, to help you identify your miniature. Now here we have the spawn tokens. Now the key thing to have with the spawn tokens, you have the red ones. The red ones are always active when you play the game. There is the green and the blue spawn tokens. Those become active depending on the quest. You also have the Necromancer spawn tokens, and we'll talk about the Necromancer later. If the Necromancer escapes, it will become a red spawn token and active. So don't let those guys get away. It can be very problematic. Here we have the first player token, the rotten token, and the free action token. We have our objective tokens right there, followed by the blue and green objective tokens. Those will be used in certain missions. You will not always be using those tokens. We have our doors as well. When you open a door, it gets nice and smashed open. The standard doors are red. You also have your blue and green door, which may or may not be related to the objective token, but just follow the rules in the quest book. It will tell you what to do with those doors. Now we have our Dragon Bile tokens. You can see these are the reverse of the Dragon Bile, and that is used when you're going to be playing Dragon Bile in the game. It's a great thing to do because when you play Dragon Bile, you're able to just eliminate potentially a large group of enemies, as well as potentially eliminate the abomination. Now don't forget, you can play the Dragon Bile, but you do have to light it on fire for it to be effective. Here we have the Trebuchet. Now the Trebuchet is an ally for the heroes. You're able to move it, you're able to shoot it. It has a range of 2+, so anything that is 2 or more squares away from it. And it is the perfect tool for massacring large groups of zombies or killing that pesky abomination if you don't have any other weapons at your disposal. We have the hedge token and the spike tokens. You may see that in some quests. Now we haven't gone through the entire game. You can also use them when designing your own quests to just sort of change up the existing map tiles. Now we have the 6 dice, standard, 66, very easy, and it's always nice to have standard dice because if you lose them, you can just take something from another game or buy some more. Now we've got the cards. And the cards are a little bit more complicated. We're going to take a little closer look at the equipment cards when we cover the player boards. Now the gray cards are your starting equipment. As you can see right here, gray. We have a couple of examples of them in front of us. Short swords, telekinetic blast, the spike bow. You start with these 6 items. No matter how many players you are at, you always start with the 6 items and you divide them up accordingly. We have the equipment cards right here. As you can see, some of them mirror the starting weapons. So this is just a short sword. You can also have the Orc Walker, which would spawn a zombie. You can also get armor and some potentially very, very damaging weapons like the Dwarven Hammer. Now, after the equipment cards, we have the vault cards. Now, the vault cards are denoted by the fact that they are blue, and the vault cards are special. They can only be found in quests that have a vault. They have some special abilities. They're typically more powerful than any other weapons you're going to find in the game. They may also boost the damage on some other weapons. So let's take a look at the Bone Curie. Now, it's a vault card. Add +1 damage to another equipped melee weapon. Now, to give you an example of why you might want to do that, if you're wielding the Bone Curie and the Norse Sword, which we don't have out here, the Norse Sword can deal 2 damage. It can then deal up to 3 damage, meaning all of a sudden with that Bone Curie, you can kill an abomination that requires 3 damage to kill it. The Orc Fatties do require 2 damage. And then finally, we have the spawn cards. Now, you'll see that there are 4 different types of spawn cards. We have the Orc Necromancer, which when he spawns also spawns a bunch of zombies into the Horde. We do have a full explanation on the Orc Necromancer, so I don't want to cover it right now. You will see Enter the Horde, and you should see some examples of this coming up if we happen to pull a card in our playthrough video. But essentially, as you're spawning zombies, and you'll see right here, there's the Assemble the Horde symbol, you put extra Orc Walkers aside, and when the Enter the Horde card comes up, they will all spawn in that location. Now, and you're looking at the spawn right here, you can see there are different levels. There's level red, orange, yellow, and blue. You start off at level blue. Once one player has gone up to level yellow, you would spawn anything that is in level yellow. You have the Orc Abomination, which would be in orange, or 6 Orc Walkers in red. Now, the reason why I took the other card out, just because it is the same, you'll see that this actually has a different ability. Here's 1 extra activation, meaning the zombies would activate twice. We have the blue, yellow, orange, and red once again, but this does not assemble the Horde. Now that we've explained that, also don't forget the +1 symbols that you'll see right there. That explains how that works with the Horde. You'll notice that at level orange, there is not a +1 for the Assemble the Horde because there's only one Abomination miniature in the deck. And I believe we've covered all of the elements we have in front of us, except this, quite simple, the exit token and the noise tokens. Now, you will generate noise depending on what actions you take, such as smashing a door generates noise. Zombies will move towards the location where there is the most noise. We'll cover that in our playthrough, but don't forget that hero characters automatically count as a noise token, and you can also generate noise as an action if you're trying to lead zombies in other directions. It's a great way to protect your party from a large group of roaming orc walkers. Now that we have reviewed the components, let's take a closer look at the player boards, and then we'll get into the setup and our playthrough of Zombicide Green Horde. Keep it right here. Now we're going to review the player board and some aspects of player equipment. I'm not going to cover all of these cards that are out here because that's just going to take too long and you guys are going to get board, but I wanted to make sure you could see just a nice sample of what your player can have. So let's start with the character card. Now, the character card, as you can see, there are different abilities that they have access to depending on their level. You can see down here blue, yellow, orange, and red. So as you kill zombies, you will level up, giving you access to these different abilities. Now as you start, you always have your blue ability. When you get to level yellow, you have your +1 action typically, which is your second ability. When you get to orange, you shall pick one of the abilities that you would like to have. And then when you get to red, you will pick one of those abilities. Now we will take the character card and place it on the character board. You'll notice that on the character board, you have 2 hands, a backpack, and a body slot. Now, we're going to start with the body slot because it's fairly interesting. In the body slot, you may either equip armor. Now, you can take a close look at the armor here. It says 3+, meaning you are able to roll a defense against zombie attacks. The armor can go here and be equipped in your body slot. You then have your 2 hands, and you can use any item in your 2 hands that has the one-handed icon. If it is a 2-handed item, you would have to use only equip 1 item. I have reviewed all of the different equipment that are currently in the game, and I've yet to see a 2-handed item. Now for Selly, what do we want to equip? We'll start with, for example, a starting equipment, 2 short swords. And the reason why we'd want to equip 2 short swords is at the top here. You can see the dual wield symbol, meaning she can wield both of them and use both of the dies at the same time. Now let's take a closer look at the equipment. We've been talking about it. I just want to make sure you guys are clear on it. Now you can see there is the Norse sword. This is an item that, see when it attacks, you can see here it does not create noise. If it creates noise, you would see the symbol not crossed out. An example of that is the lava burst, which will create noise. Now you can see the range. It is a melee weapon because it's marked as range 0. You can see the number of dies that you will roll, what you need to get on the die in order for it to be a hit, and the amount of damage it deals. You also see here that it is able to open doors. It will create noise if you open a door, and you need a 4+ to open the door. And just to give you an example of a ranged weapon that is different, the lava burst does create noise. It is 0 to 2. You get to roll 3 die, however. It does 2 damage, and you need 3+. It can also be dual wielded. There is the steel bow, you can see here, which is range 1 to 3, so fully ranged. You cannot use it as at melee at all. It is 2 die, 3+, and 1 damage. You also see any special abilities that the item can do. Those listed right there. Now we are talking about the body slot. There is actually something special about each character, is that they can equip a different card in their body slot. So for with regards to Selly, instead of going with armor, you may use it to equip a curved dagger instead, maybe potentially giving you some more damage output. This is your backpack slot. You can store up to 5 items in your backpack. And I am not 100% sure, as the rulebook wasn't fully clear, but I do believe if you go over the 5 items, you will have to discard the card. It won't just be left on the map. The card will get discarded. So do your best to, share the cards with other players. We'll just move the board over here now, as we're getting a little glare from the light. Now we'll take a look at the other part of the player character. You have your nice base to help you identify it. And then you have some extra pegs. And when you're setting up your player board, you have your starting damage, your starting skill, and then 3 extra pegs that you will use as you play the game and you level up. And I think that pretty much covers all of the basics of the hero board. So we will cut right here and get to the setup. I'm sure you guys are excited to see us play Zombicide Green Horde. Keep it right here. We've got our components out, and we're going to set up Zombicide Green Horde. Now we're going to set up the tutorial mission, and to do that we are going to go to the quest section of the rulebook. We will start with Quest 0, the Evil Shrine. Now we're going to need some specific tiles, which are listed here: 20V, 16R, 18R, and 17R. So we will locate those tiles first. We have 16, 17, 18, and 20. I'm just going to put the tiles we do not need off to the side. We'll move the quest book just to get it out of the way of setup. And let's get those tiles out there. Now you follow the image that you can see here to tell you what direction you're going to be placing the tiles. And you've got this nice key here that tells you which tile goes where. So we have 20V at the top, 18R at the bottom, 17R right here, and then we finally have 16R at the top. Now the play space is set up. The next thing we need to do is get our doors out. All of the doors are also marked in the rulebook. Let's get the door icons. Make sure they're all closed. We're not starting with any open doors. You will also notice while I'm putting these out, if you are taking a look at the rulebook, that there are no zombies currently on the map. So in this scenario, we do not start with any zombies spawned in the game. They will spawn during the spawn phase. Don't need the green or blue doors. And we'll get the other doors set up right here. 1, 2, 3. All right, now the doors are set up. We will place the objective tokens. Now we have the blue objective token that starts face up. We then have 2 other objective tokens that are going to go there. However, one of them needs to be a green token and it needs to be hidden. We need to not know which one it is. Take the 2 tokens, mix them up quickly, and we place them face down. We've now gone ahead and set up the board, and we are moving on to the zombie spawns. We have a red spawn. Now just to highlight this, you also see it in the how to play. The red spawn is a spawn that is always active during the mission. You will also have 2 other spawns in this mission, the blue one and the green spawn. Now what's important to note is that the quest spawns like the blue and green spawns are only active based on what the quest book says. So they may start as active, they may become active during the course of the mission. The blue spawn is there, and the green is over there. Now, the one thing that we don't have set up right now, but you will see once we get into the playthrough, is we're going to have the Trebuchet on the map. I just didn't want to set it up. It's going to be distracting. You can see the location of where the Trebuchet starts in the quest book. Now we've got our equipment tokens, the zombie spawn tokens, dragon bile, extra spawn tokens if we need them. I'm probably just going to return them to the game box, as well as the extra objective tokens. And we do not need either of these tokens, we just need the first player token, which will be important. And now let's set up the heroes. Now, since I will be playing Johannes and Rolf, I'm going to set them up. Julie's got her heroes, I'll let her set them up, and you'll see them when we get into the playthrough. So we have Johannes and Rolf. We'll get their little bases to help distinguish them. And as you'll notice, we do have some clearly extra pegs, as we don't need them all. We have the 3 extra ones. We'll place. We have our damage one, and then our starting skill that denotes where we are at level blue. We have 3 extra pegs. We'll get Johannes set up. And we're good to go. Now let's take a look at the equipment cards. First, I want to just take a look at the vault cards. We did talk about them quickly. These are your special weapons that will show up when there is a vault available in the game, or if the quest tells you something about putting them out. Don't forget that with some extra tiles in Zombicide, you can design your own quest. You can even have your heroes start with them. That's up to you if you are doing something like that. But in the case of these vault cards, there's no vault on the board, so they'll be able to be returned to the game box. Now we have the starting equipment cards. As we discussed, the gray cards, you notice there is a total of 6 of them, so essentially 1 for each survivor if you're playing up to 6 players. Now for starting out, we are able to distribute the cards as we would like, and it doesn't matter if we only have 4, we don't take just 4 cards, we do distribute all 6 cards. And in this case, we're going to give a lot of cards to Julie's characters. Rolf seems to do very well with the Norse sword, and we'll equip him with that. And for the sake of starting, Johannes will start with a short sword, meaning that the 4 cards that we have here, the telekinetic blast, short swords, and the spiked bow, will all be equipped on the 2 characters that Julie will be playing. Now the starting area is depicted in the rulebook, which is here. We'll place the heroes here on the board. And that's how you set up the tutorial, and that's how you're going to be setting up every mission, just by following the quest information in the rulebook. And we'll cut right here and be back with our playthrough of Zombicide Green Horde. Keep it right here. Now we're ready to play Zombicide Green Horde. We're going to be going through the tutorial and also using that to teach you guys how to play. Now we're going to break this up into a couple of chunks. We're just going to stop the camera after every turn. A little bit easier to edit and easier for you guys to find out what specific rules we're going over, as I'll highlight that in the timestamps below. Now, I've got the first player marker here. We'll be starting with Johannes. Now, the objective of this mission is to destroy the 3 zombie spawns. We can destroy these spawns, the green and the blue, by finding the objectives, and the green one is hidden. It is one of those objectives. The red must be destroyed with the Trebuchet. Now the Trebuchet can attack that area. When you attack the area, this will be the last thing destroyed. It goes in priority order. And we are now set up. We are ready to play Zombicide Green Horde. Now we'll start our first turn, as we want to get the blue spawn potentially off the board as soon as possible. Johannes will move. He will smash the door. Now to smash the door, you need to use a weapon that can smash the door. Now this will generate noise, as you can see from the noise token right there, and the die tells you what you need to roll to smash the door, which is a 4+. And smashing the door is 1 action. Now during a player's turn they can take 3 actions. Moving 1 square is 1 action, which I've just done. I'm now going to try to open the door, and let's see if that's possible. So Johannes will try to smash it with his short sword. It is a 6, the door opens, and then the moment we open the door, it's now time for us to spawn the zombies. Yep, and as you saw from the noise token, we now generate noise in this vicinity. Now what you're going to do, this is a 3-section room, which means we're going to spawn 3 different zombies. Oh, no, sorry, that was the equipment deck. It's a yellow deck. We will spawn an orc fatty in the first room. You spawn another orc fatty in the second room. And 2 orc walkers. Now, to kill the orc fatties, you need to have a weapon that does 2 damage. The only weapon that we currently have right now is the Norse sword, which is being wielded by Rolf, which would be able to, in this case, kill the orc fatty. Now, what is Johannes' best move? It's not necessarily going to be to go in. Attacking isn't going to do much, but it does put him in a better position to potentially attack on the following turn. Can also just make some more noise as well, which is an action that you have, and that'll draw the zombies to a specific location. So it's not necessarily the best decision, but to show you guys a little bit more how to play the game, Johannes is going to make noise trying to summon zombies out the door, potentially, because zombies will go towards the nearest player or the nearest location with a lot of noise. Now there's better options. Things are going to change as we're playing cooperatively, and we still have 3 more players to go, but it's a great way for us to teach you those rules. Now, as Johannes started, you're going to be going clockwise around the table after you pick which player is going to be going first, which means it is now Rolf's turn, and Rolf has an ability called Bloodless Melee. Now there are a lot of abilities in the game. We are not going to explain them to you. You can find them at the back of the rulebook. What Bloodless Melee does, it means that Rolf can take an action and move 2 spaces towards an enemy and also get a melee attack at the same time, which is perfect because of the orc fatty that we have here. So we'll make the action. We now have the Norse sword, which means it is a melee weapon. As you can see, there is the range on the card, the amount of dice we can roll, what needs to be rolled 4+ in order to hit, and it does potentially 2 damage. Now let's see if I can kill this orc fatty and get him off the table. Nope, so that is not a hit. That is my first action. I can take 2 other actions. They will both potentially be attacks if I'm trying to kill this fatty. So that went well. The orc fatty is dead. We will remove him from the table, and Rolf will gain 1 XP. Now, I could potentially take the objective token. It's not necessarily something that I want to do right now, because if I do that, and I'll just lift up the player board to highlight it, I'm going to be at 6 XP already, meaning I'm almost in yellow, and we've barely even started the game. I don't necessarily want to move, because that would mean that the zombies will attack me. When you share the same square as a zombie, they will automatically deal their damage to you, depending on what type of zombie it is. With the walkers and the fatty, it is 1 damage, if I'm not mistaken. Now, this is a great opportunity for me to search. And whenever you're inside a room, you are able to search and get more items. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I pick up the first card, Plenty of Arrows. You may re-roll all ranged attacks once with weapons with the arrows keyword. The new result takes the place of the previous one. Basically, can re-roll with this card. I don't have anything right now, but we do have a player that does have bow and arrow, so maybe we'll trade later on. And that will be Rolf's turn. And we'll now go clockwise to, is that Megan?
It's Megan. So Megan is going to have to move 1, 2.
Yep.
Her, Megan has the spiked bow, which has range.
Now I'll just highlight it because I've got the mic. Julie's a little bit far away. Now with the spiked bow, she can either use it as a melee, as you can see, 0 or 0 and 1. Depending on what she's using it as, she can roll a different dice. It is then accuracy 4 plus 1, 1. Now you might be wondering why these are all the same. If you get other items in the game, such as a dagger or certain things, they might give you bonuses just to melee weapons. The spiked bow will qualify for that. And it is a ranged weapon, so she can attack 0 to 1, same space, or up to 1 square away.
So I need a 4.
And you're attacking the, yeah. Because the bow was damage 1, she could only attack the walker. She could not kill one of the fatties.
So Selly has a special ability to jump.
Yes, jump means that you're able to move 2 spaces, ignoring what is in those spaces. It is a fantastic ability. You can jump over zombies, you can move around. It's very good for moving around.
So 1, second action, I'm going to attack.
But you're on the same space.
Oh, okay, right. So second action.
Second action would be move, and now she's got 1 action to attack, and don't forget, you're dual wielding. Now, what Selly has is 2 short swords, which has the dual wield item, meaning she can wield both of them at the same time. She then rolls the amount of die on each of the swords. As it's 2 short swords, she gets to roll 2 die to attack the 1 walker.
For my last action, it's very dead.
Now, as you can see, Selly got 2 hits. If there had been more than 1 walker there, she would have been able to kill all of them. Well, not all of them, but she could spend each hit to deal 1 damage on the walkers. And that is now the end of our turn. We now go into the zombie phase. So zombies will either move or attack. What this means is the fatty will move and it does not get to attack. If that was an orc runner, for example, they get 2 actions. They're definitely going to show up. We will reiterate it again. Just want to highlight it. We are now in the same space as the zombie. Now, if we wanted to move out of that space on our turns, it costs 2 actions to move 1 space when you're occupying the same space as a zombie. And now we go through the spawn phase. What we're going to do is we're going to go clockwise around the board because the red zone always spawns zombies. And we get the Orc Necromancer, which is not very good for us, but it's going to let us actually show you a good aspect of the game. We now spawn the Necromancer. I'm going to have to get a Necromancer spawn token. We're going to cover that actually just shortly before we jump into the second turn. We also add an Orc Walker, and this area is going to be for the Orc Horde. We'll explain that after. It's a 1 Orc Walker, 1 Orc Fatty, and 1 Orc Runner. And we got lucky with the blue, nothing in sight, no zombies showed up. And we get 1 Orc Walker that shows up on the green. And we have now assembled the Horde, and we are going to cut. I will briefly cover the Necromancer, and then we will go into the second turn. Now let's explain the Necromancer. Now when the Necromancer appears, you take a Necromancer spawn token, you place that at the same position as Necromancer, you then draw a zombie spawn card for that, and oh, enter the Horde, which is perfect. So these zombies were set aside for the Horde, and we've actually made a mistake. Now, this is perfect because it'll let me go back and show you the mistake that we made. At the top of all of these cards you hear that says assemble the Horde. That means that whenever there's an assemble the Horde card, we will take one of these zombies that would have spawned and we'll put on the board. So that would mean another walker, nothing, 2 walkers, fatty, and another orc fatty. Now we'll properly put together the horde, and I will get them from the box, which I have next to me, which means I'm just putting the rule book on the table. We need 2 more orc fatties, and then we need 3 more orc walkers. All right, we have assembled the horde. The horde now would spawn all on the same location as the Necromancer. Yeah, it's getting a little crowded. Just remember, they're all in that square. Now, what does the Necromancer do? Well, the Necromancer will try to escape, because if he escapes, we are not able to get rid of his spawn token on the board. We, as the heroes, have to kill him before he escapes. He is going to move towards the closest spawn point as an exit, not the one that he spawned at, which means both of these spawn points are 5 squares away. He's going to move towards them, and he's going to move as a regular zombie towards that spawn point. So for example, if he happens to escape, he escapes, we have an extra spawn to deal with on the board. If we can kill him before that happens, it's good on us. But for a tutorial, we already got a little bit of a mess in our hands, but it's actually going to be great because we've got this fantastic thing called a what is it, love?
A trebuchet.
So we have a trebuchet. Now, we are going to get to the start of turn 2. We've now explained the Necromancers briefly. If you have more questions about them, check out the rule book. It's a great source for everything. There's also the Necromancer Cabals, which we're not going to be covering. It's a way for you guys to play with special Necromancers that you have to buy expansions for. Oh yeah, you're taking a look at that? Oh, you're just, she's aiming it, she's getting ready. So keep it right here, we'll be back with turn 2. And now we're back with our second turn, and it's time to pick the first player. Now what we're going to do is we're going to have Megan is the one that's going to go first, as we got this huge mess right here. We've got this lovely trebuchet. We have taken the trebuchet card out, and this explains how it works. Now just to give you a quick rundown, if a survivor has line of sight on the space that you're targeting, we're just using this space because that's obviously where we're going, you need an accuracy of 3, so a roll of 3 or higher to score your hits. And then there's 3 different levels that you can use. You can either deal 1 damage, which will affect orc runners and orc walkers. You can deal 2 damage, which will affect fatties and abominations. And then there's a damage that is a boulder. It's level 3. It's really only to affect the abominations. Actually, sorry, I made a mistake there. Abominations require 3 damage. Orc fatties are 2 damage. So essentially, you've got your scatter shot, 1 damage, grape shot, 2 damage, boulder, 1 damage, walkers, runners, fatties, abominations. And we're going to have Megan start because we want Rolf to go last, as we're only engaged really with 1 fatty. And to activate the trebuchet requires 3 actions. As we're just starting the game out, we only have 3 actions, but we're probably going to be leveling up sooner rather than later now with this mess. And I'll pass the first player token to Megan, and let's go.
So it's 3, correct?
No, it's all 6 die for the scatter shot. And 4 plus.
Wow.
Now we have the 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we get 4 kills. I'm just putting the walkers off to the side. I realized I used a orc runner model accidentally as a walker, so I'll just put the walker back. And that is now Megan's turn, so it will now be Sally. Sally, what would you like to do?
Well, I'm going to aim it as well. Now, do I need... is there anything left that I can kill with 1s?
The only thing you can kill with 1s is the walker. So you can do the grape shot, but you're still gonna waste one of your hits on the walker first.
So let's go for the other one to try to do the most damage. So how many dice are we using for that one?
For the grape shot, which would deal 2 damage, which it's 3 die. So you can score up to 3 hits. Just move those away. And we got 3 hits, which is 2 orc fatties and one of the last walker. Now we can go ahead and try to hit this. Now, just so you know, as we said, we can destroy this with the Trebuchet. It counts as targeting order. So 3 successes here would wipe this off the map. And Johannes is also going to take a stab at this. We'll see how it goes. Not as well, but the orc fatty has been defeated. I've got a couple different options. Rolf can, and sorry, I forgot to remove the noise tokens.
And don't forget your XP.
Yep, we get 1 XP. Now Rolf, we've got a couple different options. We can attack the zombie or try to kill this area. Now, because there's a chance to close down a spawn as well as kill a spawn point, I'm going to use the Trebuchet again. 2. That's really good. We've now defeated the Necromancer. This spawn goes away automatically because the Necromancer is dead. And as we had a second hit, we have now destroyed the red spawn point, which makes the game just a little bit easier for us. And that gives me 1 XP because the spawn point doesn't count for experience. But that's our second turn, and it means we're going to take damage. So who shall be taking the damage? It can
I think Megan can heal.
Well, she can also heal herself.
Oh, we're using heal at the moment.
Yeah, there's potential. There is a healing scroll. No one can heal, so we just need to decide who can deal the damage. I think Megan should take the damage only because you're fighting at ranged right now, meaning you've got a little bit more opportunity to move back than Rolf does.
Okay.
And you only deal 1 damage. If the zombie doesn't hit both, you get to decide where the damage goes. Now, for example, if there were multiple zombies here, we could split it up as we want. It could be 2 to Megan, 2 to Rolf, and then 1 to the other character if we so decided. Now, that is our second turn for the heroes. It is now the zombie activation. We saw the 1 damage. We then move the zombie 1 space, and we shall trigger the spawns.
Start with this one.
We're going to start with the blue. We have 2 orc runners that show up.
Do we have to assemble the horde?
And we do assemble the horde, which will mean another runner, which I will grab as we rebuild our zombie horde. And we once again get 2 orc runners. Which appear here. And another one in the zombie horde. And we've now set up the zombies, and we will go to turn 3. So we'll cut right here, and we'll be right back. And we're back. Rolf will be taking the first player token, put it right there for now, it'll look good. And the reason for that is we want to get rid of this fatty that's in front of us and just start working our way towards shutting down that spawn point and getting the heck out of here. And with the Norse sword, he can kill the fatty. Let's see what happens. And perfect. Boom. We're going to kill him right away. Now you'll notice, and I'm just going to, that Rolf is at 3 XP right now. And if I pick up the objective token, according to the quest, he would gain 5 XP. I'll just put it a little bit more center here, which would push him to 8 and would level us up, which right now is not necessarily the best idea. As Johannes only has 1 XP, we're going to try to get him the token. Now, we do want to get a little bit more gear, And we're gonna try searching and see what I get. Ooh, a repeating crossbow. Not the best, but gives Rolf some range, which is very good. And I will move out of the room. And don't forget, you can only search when you're in a building.
Okay, so it's Megan's turn. So Megan would definitely bring it over if she took the token, so she won't. So I am also going to search, and I have the torch, which allows me to draw 2 cards while searching.
Yeah. Torch is a great card. You can get an extra search card. You can also use it to ignite Dragon Bile. Now, Dragon Bile is another item, which essentially would mean if you would play it, you can put it 0 to 1. You create a space that you can then light on fire. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. Space Dragon Bile, light on fire, and it would incinerate all the enemies there. So for example, these guys were here, you lit them on fire, they would all die. That's also how you kill abominations without other weapons. And I'll give you back your torch.
Okay, so that was action 1, 2.
And would you like the arrows for your bow?
Sure.
Now we're going to do a trade action, and when you trade, it lets your characters reorganize all of their gear for free. And Plenty of Arrows is a backpack item, meaning you get the bonus when it's in your backpack. I recommend it putting to the front of your backpack. Megan can now give me any items that she would like to give if there is anything. For example, she could give me the torch. I could also give her the Norse sword, the spike bow, and we could potentially rearrange all of the cards on here. Whenever you trade, you get a free reorganization action. Otherwise, for example, we'll just show it to you guys right here. Let's say I had 2 short swords and a repeating crossbow. Equipping the crossbow and putting the short sword on would be a full action. So, just explain that. We're getting it set back up, and Megan has now taken her 3 actions, I believe.
With the exchange, that's the exchange being my 3rd action.
It is now Selly's turn.
So Selly is also going to search as her first action. So she gets a Norse sword.
It is the Norse sword, same thing as Rolf. Great for killing fatties. You may want to potentially trade it to Rolf because he could dual wield it.
Could I dual wield and change it for one of my shorts?
No, because for dual wielding, and that's a good point, they have to be the same name. So 2 short swords, 2 Norse swords, you can't intermix them.
Then afterwards, she will jump. So 1, 2, that's my 2nd action.
Yep.
And then there are more that way, so I'm going to head this way. 3.
Perfect.
Your turn.
All right, well, Uranus's first movement is going to be into the room. His second is to pick up the objective, gaining 5 experience points, taking us to 6, eliminating the blue spawn. And I will then move back out to join my companions. And we are well on our way to sort of locking down the board and keeping things under control.
So these are runners?
Yeah, and have we done any actions that make any noise? We have not.
No.
Now, when each survivor counts as a noise token, so zombies will always be moving towards the largest amount of survivors.
They move
To the shortest route possible, yes. And we have the hedges right here. Just so you guys know, hedges block line of sight. If a player goes over a hedge, we'll give you a quick example shortly, but there's something that would happen. Zombies can move right through it. We have him that moves 1. The runners do get 2 activations, moving 1 and 2. They're now in the same space as the Orc Walker. And just to give you a quick example here, we are going to take Selly, and when your hero moves like jumping over a hedge, well, Sally could use her jump to skip over all of that and having no issues. You would jump over the hedge. As a regular action, she would then have to roll a die. Now, if she rolls anything higher than a 1, nothing happens. If she'd happen to roll a 1, a orc walker would immediately spawn, meaning we missed it, and he just kind of pops up from behind the bushes. And that's what happens with regards to hedges. We'll put him back, we'll put Sally back, and we will now trigger the spawn, and luckily enough, we only have one of them. And it is only one orc walker. We're doing a good job here, guys. And we need to assemble the horde, which is another orc walker. We have our horde, it's our heroes, and that is the end of the 3rd turn, and we'll be back with our 4th turn, so keep it right here. Well, Sally's gonna start us off, and let's see what happens.
So she's going to move.
As her first action.
Do a wield.
Yep.
Only 1.
And the priority is walkers, then runners. So we kill the walker, not the runner.
For my last action, I'll do it again. Oops. Not to forget.
Yep, be careful. You might put us in the yellow. It's okay though.
Nope.
Now we kill one of the runners. And we're almost at level yellow.
I'll keep my die.
Okay. It is now, we'll go with Johannes. And we need to move to that location. Johannes is going to make it very simple. He's just going to move. 1, 2, 3. And we'll actually show you what happens when he jumps over the hedge. I think it'll be better for the playthrough. And that will be his turn. He can't search or anything because we're not in any rooms. Rolf will trigger the Bloodlust melee, rush the guy, and get an attack. And it's a kill. Rolf goes up to 4 XP. And we need to move towards the exit. I'll move 1, 2. And for his Bloodlust melee, Rolf is allowed to move up to 2 squares to charge a zone with zombies. Alright, it is now Megan's turn.
She'll move 1.
Don't forget you gotta move towards the exit. So for us to win, we gotta get everyone out the exit.
But I'm gonna take these guys out.
Yeah, but just don't forget you gotta catch up at some point. But we do have the game on very well lockdown. I mean, this is a tutorial, it's fairly easy. If there were more spawn points and the threat of other zombies showing up, you may want to stick with the group, but that's entirely up to you, and especially your character. Don't forget you might push us into yellow. All right, let's go for it. So that's 1 with the bow.
I can run away.
You can make another move. The runner will catch up to you, but it will not damage you. Completely, it's up to you what you'd like to do. It might be more prudent to run away, and then because no matter what, we're going up to yellow when we kill the next thing on the next turn. So maybe it's better to wait 1 turn. And that is a good example of the strategy of the game and the way you're going to be working together to sort of manage your experience. It's now the zombies' turn. So Megan's engaged. We have a walker that moves 1, and we are going to spawn zombies. What do we get this time? Assemble the horde. We still get only 1 orc fatty, and we would have had orc runners otherwise, which would have been annoying. We get another fatty in the horde, and we are done spawning zombies. All right. We will cut it right here, and we'll be back with turn 4. And with the situation we're in, we're back with turn 5, and Sally has decided to keep the first player token, and it looks like we're going up to level yellow. We tried to manage it as much as we can, but that's just where we are. So Sally, go ahead.
So we've determined that I can't jump past
a corner. It's 2 in line of sight. I mean, we did misplay that a little bit, but she's always had extra movement, so she would have been able to jump up to 2 spaces.
In any case, I can't jump away either from an orc, so I have to fight him now that I'm there, or lose movement points, which at this point in the game is not worth it.
Well, actually, with your jump, it says ignore everything in the space. You could jump away from the orc, but you might as well kill it. We're on the verge of going to yellow. It's only Rolf that's not going to go up there, and he's got a Norse sword, so he's pretty fine.
Nope.
Maybe we're not going up.
So.
That is your second action.
And third. And that's it for me. So now it's your turn.
Now, I could charge as well. Well, no, sorry, it's Johannes. Let's just clear the dice. Now, Johannes is going to move into the waterhole zone. We will test to see if we get a walker, and then I'll explain the waterhole zone. Now, no walker shows up, but to move from a waterhole zone to another waterhole zone, you must spend an additional action. Now, you see here are ledges. Zombies may not move out of a waterhole zone and up a ledge. An actor may move out, an actor meaning the heroes can move out around the banks. I'm gonna just double check if we can move up the ledge for turn 6, but we're gonna continue on with Johannes right now. He is going to move 1, and that takes an additional action as we are approaching the objectives. Now we do have the fatties right here, and I really don't like fatties. But, and you've got something I want potentially. I will charge using Bloodlust Melee. Now that's something I wouldn't necessarily do if I didn't have Bloodlust Melee, because it lets me charge the 2 squares. Special ability tends to override the spaces. Now hopefully I get the kill. I do not. I'm gonna have to spend an additional action. I get the kill. Kill the fatty. Gain an XP. But that's kind of put me in a little bit of trouble. It cost me an extra action to get out of there, and I did not level up, unlike Sally, who now has an extra action. And to do that, you would just mark, and I'll just show you guys once you get to level yellow, you mark your skills that you get here on your player board. As you can see, when you get to orange or red, you can pick the action. Now, if you're playing in a mode that the game calls ultra red, when you're going past your max XP, you can get a lot more abilities. But for right now, there's really not much else that Rolf can do. Not too worried about any zombies attacking him. They're just going to spawn on top of him. And it's now Megan's turn.
So Megan is going to attack her zombie. Nope.
You can re-roll because of your... Oh, yeah. Because you can use the spike...
ranged.
Yes, but the spike bow can be used as a ranged weapon, and space is 0 to 1.
Okay.
So you're able to re-roll it.
That worked.
There you go, and you still have your 2 actions.
So she's leveled up and gets an extra action.
So you now have 3 actions, which means you actually forgot to take an extra action with Sally.
Yeah.
Which means because there's a bank here, she can move to that zone for free.
Okay, so that was 2 actions, so I have 2 left.
Yep.
So I can, basically, I think it's easier walk this way.
Yep.
And I may need to help my colleague.
Colleague, we're survivors, damn it. And there we go, we've got the board
Clear.
well under control. As long as a horde doesn't show up, I think we're gonna be good.
So now we have to spawn.
Yeah. And pull the spawn card. Assemble the horde. And we are now in yellow, which, as you can see, is going to get a lot more interesting. And maybe Rolf going where he went was not the best idea, because we have 4 orc walkers.
Let's the end of that turn.
Yep. So we will be back with turn 6. Wow, quite the scenario we've got ourselves in. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. As she likes to point out, sometimes I get a little too aggressive, but you know what? This is the tutorial. It's going to teach you guys a lot more about the game. Keep it right here. And Rolf will be our first player, as he's gotten himself in a lot of trouble right now. I mean, if we stay right there, that's potentially 4 damage from walkers. I can try to fight them, but if I fight them, I'm just stuck in the spawn spot again. And this is a great chance for us to explain ranged combat. Let's say Megan was right here and she was attacking into this space. If she misses, she automatically hits Rolf, meaning she can potentially kill me, which is not the best thing. So Rolf is going to be the one that starts first. And as I'm in a water hole area, it's going to cost me an extra action. I spend all 3 actions and I move out of that space.
Okay, and I'm going to come try to help you out. So my first movement, my first action is a movement.
Yep.
And then I'm going.
We've got 3 more.
Yep.
Because she leveled up.
So I'm going to try to take an attack on 1. I hit 1. That's action 2. Action 3. I miss.
But you can use your plenty of arrows to reroll. And now just pass me your plenty of arrows again, please. So with the plenty of arrows, you may reroll all ranged attack once with weapons with arrows. So for this, she can use it multiple times. Just once per attack roll, once per attack action.
So I still miss. So then my
So this, you moved, you attacked, you missed on your attack. So this is your 4th and final action.
So then I am going to move out because they're going to move again. So I don't want to be where they are.
Nope, that's not a bad idea.
And Sully's going to keep trying to go get the objective tokens because they're going to keep spawning there no matter what. So if we want to end the game, so I can move 1.
Yep.
And then I can jump 2.
Yep.
So I can go here for my second action.
Yep.
And my third action would be to try to open the door on the right here.
Okay.
So my third action with my short sword is a miss.
And you do create noise.
But I'm going to try again for my 4th action.
Yes.
And I miss again. So more noise.
More noise, no door opened, no fun.
That's the end of our turn.
Yep, there's not much that Johannes can do. I'm kind of regretting that he didn't level up. He can move 1, 2, and that's going to be his action because he cannot move. There's not an easy bank for him to go up the ledge. I still need to just double check the ledge rule to move out. We'll start that up on our next turn. And he would need an extra action to move into the same space as Sally. We will then trigger the zombies, which now once again occupy the same space as Rolf. We will spawn 2 more orc walkers. And we assemble the horde with another orc walker. Looks like I'm missing. Did I add 1 last time?
I thought so, yes.
Okay. I think we're good. Anyway, I'm not sure if the horde will show back up, but we're looking not too shabby here. And that'll be the end of our turn. We'll be back with the next turn and the clarifications for the ledges. And we're back. And Rolf will remain the first player because he's still a little bit in trouble. And I said I'd come back with clarifications on the ledges. Like a water hole zone, it takes the survivor an extra action to climb out of it, while zombies are not able to. Now Rolf's first thing that he's going to do is he's going to spend 2 actions to retreat. We are moving out of a water hole zone onto via a bank, meaning it's not going to cost me any extra. And that is 2 of my 3 actions. But luckily, I still have this repeating crossbow on. I can roll 3 die 0 to 1 and maybe kill one of these walkers. It was 5 and up. I did not get anything. And that is my turn.
So Megan's going to try to help out. And she's going to take a ranged attack at these guys. Doesn't work.
You may re-roll.
I will re-roll for my first attack.
That arrow's been really good for you.
So that works. So that was my first attack.
Yep.
I'm going to try again for a second attack.
Second action.
I kill another one. Third action. Kill the other one. And my last one will be to move away again.
Good job.
Okay, so Sally is now going to keep trying to hammer away at that door to get in. So her short sword wasn't working. Let's hope it's doing a little bit better. It
Nope.
isn't.
Making some noise.
I'll get through eventually. Nope. That's my second action.
Yep.
And on the third or fifth, I've lost track. That's my third action for this one. And then,
Hang on.
what?
Don't forget, you open the door.
Oh, it spawns.
Spawn. And, oh boy. Enter the Horde. That's exactly what we didn't want right there. So, what's Sully gonna do? I highly suggest jumping out of there.
Yep. I'm going to jump for my last action back to the safety of water.
Okay, it's not a bad idea. Now we do have an orc runner in here that moves 2. Now what would be the best thing for Johannes to do? We don't have a crossbow, we don't have anything. He might almost be better off honestly not doing anything and staying there because he would engage the orc runner right off the bat. I can't think of anything else that I want him to do.
Unless you get him up on the ledge, which takes...
Yeah, but I don't have a bow. But he could potentially trade.
Isn't it 3 actions anyways? Or 2 actions?
2 actions to go up the ledge. I mean, I could get him up here and try to open up the exit. But that's not what we really want to do. It's a little tricky. Well, we're going to stand pass. Be brave. Because it's going to leave us in the better position for the next turn. That's really the only thing that I can do. So that's the end of his turn. Rolf had his. Zombies will activate. We have the 2 runners that are now engaged with Johannes. The walkers and the fatty are out here. And notice this actually worked out well. They did move towards the source of the noise. We will now spawn. With their spawn, we get 3 orc walkers and another orc walker for the horde. Now, one thing I just want to point out, as it's not going to happen in the tutorial, we're doing a good job of managing the zombies, is that if you do run out of miniatures for any type of zombie, when you do draw a spawn for that type of zombie, they get an immediate activation. So, for example, if you open the door, they could pop out and murder a survivor just right then and there. Keep that in mind. It's important. This was a guy you killed earlier, sorry. It's important because it's going to really depend on if you want to open doors or not. As you can see in this scenario, there's a lot of other ways to potentially open some doors. And if we run out of minis, it could be a nasty surprise. Now we're going to cut right here, and we'll be back with the following turn. Now we're going to keep Rolf as the first player because of his bloodlust melee. And we're trying to get into this area now. This area of the board doesn't really matter as much. Let's get him into the fight. He's going to charge down and try to kill one of the runners. It's unfortunate that we haven't had a chance to get me an extra sword yet. And that was 1 action. 2 actions.
Now you level up.
Yep. Which gives him another action. And I'm able to now move to either the ledge here or here, because I got an extra action and I killed them with 2. I'm going to suggest that I move up here, as I think we were talking off camera. I think it's time to trebuchet that area, and they are 2 away.
Okay, so Megan, but those are,
well, you have to do 2 different shots. You don't have to do 2 shots. You can do the scatter shot, or you can try on the grape shot. You will just kill the walkers first on any hits. Just changes the amount of die you roll.
And if I do the other one, I could potentially kill them all.
If you get lucky, yeah.
It's this doesn't count as ranged, so I can't redo it.
No, it's the trebuchet. She's going big, ladies and gentlemen. And it's 3 or more is a hit. But unfortunately, you only get 2 of them. So that's 2 for Megan. And the reason why it's 3 or more, we've got line of sight.
Now you have all the dice and Sally's turn.
Now what would Sally like to do? Does she want to try to kill the fatty? Does she want to trebuchet behind us to cover our butts?
I'm going to trebuchet behind.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go for the 3.
The 3? Now you can use scatter shot, which is 6 die. You have line of sight, meaning 3 or more hits. 1, 2, and 3. All 3 of the walkers get killed. And that's her turn. Now, as it's just a fatty, we have no other way to do it. It's Johannes' turn. I'm going to trebuchet as well. Hopefully we get him. And we got him. And I get an extra action. Unfortunately, still stuck in the water holes. I can't really move. There's not much else that I can do. But things are looking up.
I forgot Megan, because she has an extra movement as well.
Yes.
And also
to jump. Okay. So we just took it back. The ladies had 4 actions. The trebuchet cost 3 actions. They had forgotten to take their movement. It's a co-op game. Be nice to your fellow players. You're working as a team. I mean, if they do something that's, try to going back like 3 turns in time, maybe not, but that's not such a big deal. It is now the zombie activation as they move forward. We now spawn 4 orc runners.
And 1 for the horde.
And 1 for the horde. And we would have, I neglected last time to add a orc walker for the horde. And that is the end of the turn. We'll cut right here and be right back. So it's Sally. Okay, Sally's turn, as we need to get that objective token. Go ahead.
So 1 in. Yay!
Green objective token, we destroy the spawn.
3 out. I can't jump around a corner, so jump here for 4.
Nice. It's going to be Johannes' turn. As we're trying to get to the exit, he is just going to take 2 movement to come up here. He has his extra action. We will now try to smash the door. Let's see if it works. Nope. And I'll try again. Nope. And that's the end of his turn, and we've created 2 noise tokens. Now Rolf's turn. Let's see if Rolf can smash it. And Rolf smashes it open. Let's see what we get. We get an orc fatty. And in many other cases, I would not be happy with that, but when it's Rolf with the North sword, it's perfect. He shall charge in and gets his attack. Nope. I have now 2 more attacks for my 2 other actions. Kill the fatty. and 1 XP. And we're good. I'm staying on the exit.
My turn.
Yep.
So how many again? Remind us how many? It's
1, 2 to come up the ledge.
and then 3 to get out.
So you are now out. It's the end of the player's turns. No zombies are going to spawn, as there are no more spawn points. Now we'll just move. Obviously, we'll have Johannes, you will pass me this. We're not going to cut, we're just going to finish the turn off for you guys. Zombies have moved. Johannes moves out. Sally will move out. And there it is. We've won the tutorial. We've survived these, well, not the zombie apocalypse, but part of it. So we're going to cut right here, and we'll be back with our review of the game. Zombicide Green Horde, your first Zombicide experience. Actually got you to play one of these games. Tell me, what did you think of it?
I like the fact that I was we were killing orcs.
She loves killing orcs. Lord of the Rings. I think she's got a little thing for Aragorn.
Who wouldn't? So on a different note, one of the things I really like about this, besides the fact that it's cooperative, I think everybody knows now that I like cooperative games. I like the fact that this is something we can play, easily set up and play after dinner, after a long day at work, instead of sitting at the TV, you know, something a little bit more active for the brain. I thought that was great. I like the mechanics of this game. I like the characters. I was a little disappointed with my mage. I thought it was a little bit of a wuss, even when it powers up a little bit compared to other mages in other games like Descent. But I had both girls, both women in this, and I thought they were pretty neat. I like the weapons that you can pick up and the fact that you can power them up, and that that you can share as well. It helps the cooperative aspect of it.
The aspect of the scrolls too is kind of nice. The fact that anyone could really be a spellcaster.
Yeah.
But you do have your mage that's a little bit more spellcasting focused.
Yeah, so I really like that table that they have that has with the backpack, and it makes it easy to see what you have and to see how you're powered up. So I thought that was a great design element. I didn't love the art. It's messy for me. It's not crisp and clean. It's not my favorite type of art. I'm sure somebody would love the style of it, but for me, it's not my style. I get that it's zombies and that's why it's dark, but there are other games that I found that are more to my liking. This one's, I didn't love it. I did like the Trebuchet though. That I thought was a lot of fun. The fact that you move it around, work, you have to plan together because it's so many actions that you can't do it. You can do it alone, but it's easier when you do it as a group. So for that, I thought it was great.
And don't forget the Horde.
Yeah, I'll let you talk about the Hordes. I didn't love that one as much. I will say, be careful for those running orcs. They come out of nowhere.
Yeah, so we had quite a few run-ins with those orc runners. I know, it's a pun, sorry guys. Now, my thoughts of the game. So, the good, it is a lot easier to set up than I remember. First experience playing Zombicide was with the first edition of Zombicide straight out of the Kickstarter. A friend of mine had it, and they've definitely made some upgrades with regards to getting it out, setting it up, and organizing your equipment. I really love the backpack and having that as part of your player board. The colors I really liked as well, the green, the blue, all the different colors, that was great. Easy to differentiate your miniatures and where you are on the board so you don't get confused. And as it's a cooperative game, you really want to make sure that you're planning it out. We also really enjoyed the cooperative element of managing your levels, right? If you gotta be careful, don't go from blue to yellow to orange to red too fast. If you go there too fast and you're not sort of keeping pace, well, you might end up in a very bad situation where one of you survives and the rest of you die, and that's not really what you're going for in a cooperative game. Now, the stylized art didn't bother me as much. I'm a little bit more used to it as I've played other Zombicide games and Massive Darkness. Now, I find that Zombicide goes a little bit further than Massive Darkness in terms of the style, but I do like the art on Green Horde more than I like the art on Black Plague. I feel like the green for the orcs and just sort of that color aspect makes it a little bit more fun. That is better suited to the stylized nature of the actual artwork. And gameplay wise, it's simple, but it's complicated. So I think for us, what we really enjoy about it is this gives us that co-op gaming experience with a lot less that we need to put out on the table. It's great to play Descent or Imperial Assault, but after we set it up, we kind of want to sit there and play 4 or 5 missions, which means we can't always get it to the table easily at the end of a long day, whereas this is something that we are able to do. And I do think this is the kind of game that you can play with someone that's younger than what's listed on the box, especially as it's a cooperative game. But take into account, if you're going to skew it a little bit younger, there is a lot of cooperative elements. The game is fairly mature themed, so you want to make sure it's maybe a child or, a nephew, cousin, whatever that you've been maybe gaming with for a long period of time that will be able to grasp the game, because it is a little bit intricate. Now, you could always go to Black Plague, which is a little bit simpler because you don't have elements like the Trebuchet and the Horde, but I just wanted to highlight that. Now I'll talk about the Horde. The Horde is a really neat idea, and I think it really plays into the aspect of zombies and orcs. You're thinking about games like, not just games, but movies, Lord of the Rings. You got your heroes fighting the orcish horde, the zombie horde, the way that you assemble the horde, that they can then show up, and depending on your luck, it could be at the end where all of a sudden it's like 20 zombies that show up in the room, or it could be earlier on in the game where even then it could still be like 5 or 6 zombies that will make the game that much more difficult. And I like that element because it's just something new and different. It also goes well with the Trebuchet, which is sort of the counter to that, meaning you have the Trebuchet in the right spot, the horde shows up, you might be able to take them out in one shot. So we'll stop talking about the game. Well, not exactly, but we will get to our scores. So Julie, what do you score Zombicide Green Horde by CMON and Guillotine Games?
I'll give it a solid 7.5. One of the things that pushes it to a 7.5 is the design of the game. The color identifiers for each of the players makes it easy, and like the player board, as I said. It's not an 8 for me, probably because of the art and and those things. But for me, it's a solid 7.5. I do want to add back to what you were saying about the younger players. As somebody who's not as advanced a gamer as you are, when we played it, I thought, yeah, I can understand why it's 14 and above, because it does have a little bit of a complexity. So as Jason said, if they've gamed a lot, more than me, they might be able to grasp it right away. It's not that it's that complex. It's just it's got different mechanics. There's
a lot of mechanics. It's a lot of moving parts. If one person's managing the game, they can help them out, but there's a lot of moving parts, and to really pull off the co-op, you want everyone to sort of know what they're doing.
So what's your rating?
So my score is also going to be 7.5. I don't think I found the element that would make it an 8 or an 8.5. We are getting the Kickstarter stretch goals. Those are coming. So once those come, maybe there's something in there that's going to push it up to an 8, 8.5. We'll definitely take a look at that for you guys. But just to summarize, it's a 1 to 6 player cooperative game, easy to get to the table, lots of fun, and it's something that I recommend for people that like the game. You'll never go wrong bringing out a Zombicide on a game day, unless, maybe you're Zombicided out. You've played too much of the game. And as always here on Dice and Dragons, don't forget to take a look up top when we review Black Plague or potentially any other Zombicide games. You'll see a link right above our heads sometime in the near future. You can also find a link down below to all of our social media channels in the video description. So we shall grab our drinks, grab our best friend who apparently did survive the zombie apocalypse. No, well, sort of.
Yeah,
not too badly.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers, and I'll let you take it out if you can remember.
Keep playing games.
You remember it. I'm proud of you. I won't have to feed you to a zombie.
Yeah, or me feed you.
I'm faster.
Yeah, but I'm normally the mage. I can protect you. Or not.
Or not?
We'll see.
Buddy, I'm not the husband. I'm clearly the buddy. Not even the best friend anymore. Jeez.
See you next week.
You sure we married? You sure?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.